joined down the line from the USA by John Bolton, the former United States National Security Advisor under the Trump administration. John, thank you very much. Welcome again to the programme. A bit of an irony, it seems to me, that there is Joe Biden turning up in Israel saying, we're with you, we're your strongest allies in the world, and yet this is the man who was vice president of the USA, endorsed and advertised the Iran nuclear deal. In August of this year, agreed a deal that will ultimately free up another $6 billion to Iran, which they're using to fund Hezbollah and Hamas.
Yeah, look, this is a real problem for the Biden administration. I think it was a positive development for him to give this strong signal of American support to Netanyahu and to come out today and make it clear that it was U.S. analysis that said that the terrible tragedy at the hospital in Gaza was caused by the misfire of a Palestinian missile, not an Israeli missile. But what the administration, ever since October the 7th, ever since the Hamas attack, has refused to acknowledge is that the real problem here is Iran. Hamas didn't decide this on its own. It's Iran that's the signal caller. It's Iran that supplied Hamas and Hezbollah, armed them, trained them, financed them. And so really, I view this, what happened in a couple of days ago, 10 days ago, was really an Iranian attack on Israel through its instrumentality, the terrorist group Hamas. And I think once people understand that, then you can see what the real threat to peace and security in the Middle East is. It's the mullahs in Tehran.
John, I can see it very clearly. I've seen it for years. Like you, I've been mystified by the Obama administration, by the European Union, and indeed, at times, the British government on this too. But clearly, the risk of escalation is now very real indeed. What, in your view, should the West now do?
Well, I think what's going to happen within the next 24 or 48 hours is that Israel is going to make good on its stated intention to eliminate Hamas. There will be entry into the Gaza Strip by substantial numbers of Israeli combat arms forces. And we're going to see more outrage from the usual suspects. But I think the magnitude of the tragedy that struck Israel is such that there's not a democratic government in the world that wouldn't do the same thing that Israel is about to do if they had faced the same attack. So the next step really, and this again is a judgment that will be made in Tehran, is whether Hezbollah in the north unleashes attacks on Israel. There have been reports over the past days the Syrian government has moved its forces toward the Golan Heights. So we'll see what the reaction is. I think Israel's prepared for this. I think one reason perhaps Israel didn't move as quickly as they might have was they wanted to be sure they were prepared, if necessary, to fight on a two-front basis. I think they probably are ready now. So the next step is Iran. I think they face a weak American president, notwithstanding that he's moved 2 carrier battle groups to the Eastern Mediterranean. I'm not sure that they don't read the hostage deal the same way you do. It was an act of weakness on the part of the administration. So I would say the risk of escalation is high, although fundamentally it's not escalation because Iran has been in this from the beginning.
Yeah. And John, one of the tragedies of this, and perhaps one of the reasons that it's happening, is the Trump administration. I know you fell out with Trump, but one of the achievements of the Trump administration were the Abraham Accords, the coming together of Israel and other states in that region, and the fact we were on the verge of Saudi Arabia and Israel coming to a very significant agreement, something Iran would never have wanted to see. And I personally think that's part of the reason behind the timing of all of this. But, John, would the world be a safer place if Donald Trump had still been in the White House?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I do agree with you on the Abraham Accords. They're a very significant reflection of change in the region as a whole. The Gulf Arab states and others had come to accept that Iran was the principal threat to their peace and security, as it was with Israel. And we had the confluence of strategic thinking that if the Gulf Arabs could get closer together with Israel, they would all benefit. And I think that's what produced the Abraham Accords. you are right to say that Iran viewed that as a real threat to them, and particularly the potential of an agreement with Saudi. So that's why it's so important to get the Arab population to appreciate that the real aggressor here is not Israel, it's Iran. Because if you could make people aware of that, I think there'd be a substantial chance for the region as a whole to stand against Iran, and we might see the government there in real trouble. I think Biden has been a particularly weak president. I'm not sure how Trump would have reacted in a number of these areas, but I think there's no doubt Iran sees weakness in the Biden administration, and they're taking advantage of it.
Absolutely. John Bolton, as always, a pleasure to have you on the programme here at GB News. Thank you.